The Bloodline just made some of their new changes official, so we'll see what's new for them. We'll also check out what's going on with Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and more. Starting things off with Naomi and the big Easter egg hint that was thrown into her segment. While Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were walking backstage at Smackdown, they came across Naomi and Nick Aldis, and right before the camera pans over to Naomi and Nick, you can hear Naomi drop a very important line that reveals what she'll be up to in the coming weeks. We hear Naomi talking about how the Money in the Bank contract has her name on it. And before that conversation got any deeper, Chelsea and Piper interrupted it. So that line that was overheard there tells us what Naomi is focused in on right now. Naomi has her eyes on the women's Money in the Bank contract and is already in conversation with Nick Aldis about a possible qualification match for the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. And this seems to be a perfect path for Naomi. Bayley did give Naomi the first crack at the WWE Women's title, but things did get a bit messy for Naomi's opportunity since Tiffany Stratton and others were involved. So Naomi, being the honorable babyface that she is, doesn't want to demand another title match. She instead just wants to enter the Money in the Bank ladder match and get her title opportunity in that fashion. And like she said herself, she feels like the Money in the Bank briefcase has her name on it. Naomi winning the contract would also be big news for the big three, because you would have Jade and Bianca dominating with the women's tag team titles, and now Naomi would be carrying around the women's Money in the Bank contract. And history is absolutely on the side of the women's Money in the Bank holder, since the women's contract has a 100% successful cash-in rate. Some fans think that WWE should have failed to cash in for the women's division just to switch things up a bit, since there's never been a failed cash-in attempt for the women's division. The men's division has seen a handful of failed cash-ins over the years, so that creates a certain level of anxiety when the male contract is cashed in on, because it can literally go either way. But the women's contract, there's no real feeling of anxiety or a threat of a failed cash-in since it's never happened before. So maybe that's something that could change with this year's winner or a future winner. But Money in the Bank is just another month away, so the build-up should really heat up in the coming weeks. Naomi has her eyes locked in on the contract. Fans have even been discussing all year long that Tiffany Stratton would also be a good pick to win the Money in the Bank contract. So it should be absolutely a fun Money in the Bank year, since the division is so deep with so many great possibilities to win the whole thing. Speaking of Tiffany Stratton, the June 7th edition of Smackdown also appeared to hint at the immediate future of Tiffany's usage. A few weeks ago, Tiffany's focus was trying to win the title in her match against Bayley and Naomi. Then after that, her focus became trying to win the Queen of the Ring tournament, but she was unsuccessful in both of those attempts. But now we see what could be coming up for her. In a backstage segment on SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton approached Nia Jax, telling her that they should form a big alliance with each other, and how the both of them together could be the queen and princess of the ring. Tiffany told Nia to think about it and consider it. Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax are already close friends and traveling partners outside of the ring, so if they were to pair them up like this, that friendship and chemistry would already be established there. But Tiffany's proposal makes a lot of sense and would set them up to be a great duo. Nia Jax is the ultimate powerhouse in the women's division. She has lots of great strengths and experience. She's held the women's title before, held the tag team titles before, just an all-around experienced and dominating superstar. Tiffany Stratton is barely a few months into her main roster career, but she already had some major matches and wins in recent memory. So pairing up these two superstars would be a very interesting duo. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair keep talking about how no one could stop them and how they walk through everyone, which is true, but Tiffany and Nia would probably be the biggest threat to the women's tag team titles. Nia Jax didn't give Tiffany Stratton an immediate answer on the spot about the proposal, but it looks like the next few weeks of their story on SmackDown could be dedicated to Tiffany showing Nia why they need each other. Nia Jax has been having a lot of issues lately with Mia Yim, and they're set to have a match on the June 14th edition of SmackDown. And considering that Tiffany's proposal is really hanging over Nia Jax right now, it seems very likely that Nia could find herself in quite the predicament next week on SmackDown, and that's when Tiffany Stratton could come out and save her, which would reinforce the idea of the alliance to Nia Jax, and she may just take up Tiffany's offer after a big save like that. This pairing is interesting, especially if Tiffany wins the Money in the Bank contract, because she'll pretty much have Nia Jax as a bodyguard, so no one can put their hands on her or the contract. So either a run at the tag team titles or having Nia protect Tiffany as Miss Money in the Bank could be some very interesting paths to take the team of Nia and Tiffany in. It's been another massive week for the Bloodline and the changes that have been made to the group. Immediately following WrestleMania 40, we saw Solo Sikoa making big moves, like kicking Jimmy Uso out, bringing in Tama Tonga, and then bringing in Tonga Loa shortly after. And that's the big issue that all happened, was that Solo Sikoa didn't have the proper permissions and rights to be making all these moves. But Solo Sikoa was successfully able to manipulate Paul Heyman into believing that he spoke to Roman Reigns and how Roman gave him permission to be in charge until he gets back. Paul Heyman never fact-checked the information that Solo fed up, but just decided to go with it. So on this recent edition of SmackDown, Paul Heyman officially confirmed all the changes in the Bloodline. He confirmed that Solo Sikoa is now sitting at the head of the table until Roman is back. Heyman also officially announced that Tama Tonga is now the right-hand man, and as far as Tonga Loa, Heyman didn't really give him an official Bloodline role and title, but it appears that Tonga Loa will be taking over that enforcer-type role for the group. But even while Paul Heyman was announcing all these changes to the group, he wasn't doing it in a boosting or confident way. He was very shaky the entire time and face-palming after every few lines. So Heyman still doesn't like what's going on, but he's going with it for the time being. Solo even had Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa invade Paul Heyman's personal space and press up on him until Heyman gave thanks for saving him. They said he was saved by orders of the tribal chief, which once again is a bit of an ambiguous line for someone to say right now because they could be referring to a lot of different people. But Solo Sikoa continued to abuse Paul Heyman. As Paul Heyman was trying to leave the arena after the segment, Solo stopped him and forced him to go talk to Nick Aldis regarding a 6-man tag match for the main event. Solo even threatened Heyman by saying that if he didn't get that done, then SmackDown's main event would instead be Tama Tonga versus Paul Heyman in the locker room. So the fact that Solo Sikoa has to threaten Paul Heyman in order to get things done just makes Solo's character seem like a horrible person, and that's obviously done on purpose. Despite being a heel for nearly 4 years, Roman Reigns never had to threaten Paul Heyman to get something out of him. The respect was always there. But the story continues to be set up perfectly, though. Solo and the new Bloodline appear like they're continuing to toy with Paul Heyman and threaten him in the weeks to come. But once they officially put their hands on Paul Heyman, that will be a massive context clue that Roman's return will be close by. They're even setting up the story for the Usos to come back into play. There was a little bit of emphasis on how the right-hand man title used to belong to Jey Uso. So eventually, when all the parts of the story come together, it looks like we'll be seeing a collision between Jey Uso and Tama Tonga, the battle of the right-hand men. But what are your thoughts on today's wrestling news? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.